One drop of blood, that's all it would take to detect cancer, diabetes, infection, hundreds of diseases, from a single prick of your finger. No needles, no labs, a miracle in a box on your kitchen counter. It was the future of medicine. It was also a complete lie. Theranos was worth $9 billion. Its founder, at 31, was the youngest self-made female billionaire on Earth, hailed as the next Steve Jobs. Then, almost overnight, it was worth nothing. This is the story of how a black turtleneck, a deep and deliberate voice, and one irresistible idea convinced Silicon Valley, a pharmacy giant, and some of the most powerful men in America to believe in a machine that never actually worked. In 2003, a 19-year-old named Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford. She had one idea and an almost religious certainty about it. A small device that could run hundreds of blood tests from a single drop. She named it the Edison. She was deliberate about everything. She wore the same black turtleneck every day, a uniform borrowed from Steve Jobs. She lowered her voice to a baritone. She rarely blinked. Investors didn't just see a founder, they saw a prophet, and they wanted in, and the validation was staggering. She assembled a board unlike any startup in history. Former secretaries of state, decorated generals, a future secretary of defense. To the world, a board like that meant the technology simply had to be real. The money followed. More than $700 million. By 2014, Elizabeth Holmes was on the cover of every magazine that mattered. Forbes, Fortune, Inc. She wasn't selling a blood test anymore. She was selling a story about saving lives. And everyone wanted to believe it. There was only one problem. Behind the glass walls and the standing ovations, the Edison didn't work. It was supposed to be revolutionary. Instead, it produced wildly unreliable results. For cholesterol, for cancer markers, for pregnancy. The same drop of blood could give two completely different answers an hour apart. So Theranos did something extraordinary to hide it. They quietly bought commercial blood analyzers, the same machines used in any ordinary hospital, and ran most tests on those, while telling the world the magic came from their own tiny box. Inside, a culture of fear took hold. Holmes's partner, a man named Sunny Balwani, secretly her boyfriend and the company's number 2, ran the labs like a fortress. Anyone who raised doubts was watched, isolated, or pushed out. But the lie was no longer confined to a stage. In 2013, Theranos struck the deal that would put its broken machine inside the body of a real patient. They partnered with Walgreens. Suddenly, the device wasn't a demo. It was in pharmacies, in real neighborhoods, drawing blood from real people who trusted it completely. And those people were handed real diagnoses. Some were told they might have cancer. Others that something was wrong with a pregnancy. Alarming, life-altering results, generated by a machine the company already knew it could not trust. This is the line most frauds never cross. Theranos wasn't only lying to investors about money, it was gambling with the health of strangers who had no idea they were part of the experiment. The strange part? The people closest to the technology already knew. Scientists resigned in quiet horror, and a few of them refused to stay silent. One was barely out of college, a young employee named Tyler Schultz. His own grandfather was one of those famous board members. He took his fears to management, then to his grandfather, and finally, at enormous personal risk, to a reporter. That reporter was John Carreyrou of the Wall Street Journal. In October 2015, he published a single article. It asked the one question the entire empire had been built to avoid. Does the machine actually work? Theranos struck back hard. It hired one of the most feared lawyers in America to threaten the whistleblowers and the newspaper into silence. For a company with nothing to hide, it fought the truth with everything it had, but the question would not go away. And slowly, for regulators, for investors, for the whole world, the answer came into focus. By 2016, it was over. Theranos was forced to void 2 years of blood test results. Regulators banned Holmes from running a lab. Walgreens fled and sued. The $9 billion valuation didn't shrink. It vanished. By 2018, the company was formally dissolved, its name a synonym for fraud. The investors lost everything. Rupert Murdoch, who had put in $125 million, the family of Betsy DeVos, the heirs to the Walmart fortune, fortunes that, for most of them, were simply gone. Then came the courtroom. In 2022, after a months-long trial, a jury found Elizabeth Holmes guilty of fraud. She was sentenced to more than 11 years in prison, Sunny Balwani to nearly 13. Every appeal was rejected. The youngest self-made female billionaire in the world traded the black turtleneck for a prison uniform. But here's the thing about Theranos. The lie was never really about a machine. The science was almost beside the point. It was about a story, so clean, so inspiring, so good, that the smartest people in the room stopped asking the most basic question. They wanted it to be true. So they decided it was. Because the most dangerous frauds don't look like fraud. They look like genius. They look like the future. And we believe them, completely all the way to the top. Right up until the moment they vanish.